He's joining in on Spicejet, where there are fresh developments taking place there as well. Ashmit, looks like trouble ahead.
Indeed, there could be more trouble ahead as far as the cash-strapped airline is concerned. What they were confronted with essentially was to make a payment of 75 crore rupees to Maran. Now, this is with respect to the arbitration dispute between Spicejet, the airline, and Kalanithi Maran, the former promoter. Now, they were required to and they were directed to pay the amount of 75 crore rupees to satisfy the interest amount. This was a direction coming from the apex court. Now, despite a 3-month window given in February to the airline failed to do so, failed to make that payment. Now, this has inspired frustration on part of the apex court, and the Supreme Court now has said that there must be some commercial morality. Such luxury litigation cannot be allowed, and on the back of these observations, has directed for the entire arbitral award to be paid. Now, what does that mean? What is the entire arbitral award? The entire arbitration award was 579 crore rupees plus an interest burden of 18%. Now, it is undisputed, it is not in dispute that the principal amount of 579 crore rupees has been paid. There is no contest on that. The contest is on the interest burden. The Marans are claiming an interest burden of 380 crore rupees as of date. That's a massive burden. So that's the version that Spicejet will now have to compete with, will now have to deal with. Having failed to cough up that amount of 75 crore rupees, they could potentially be looking at that burden of interest burden of 380 crore rupees. But just an important aspect to point out, this is not a figure that Spicejet, the airline, agrees with. Spicejet's contention always has been that the interest burden is far lower than 380 crore rupees. But nonetheless, that is the burden now to contend with. Faced with 75 initially, having failed to make that payment, now will have to face the claim of 380 crore rupees on interest payments.
Okay, all right, Ashmit, thank you so much for joining us with those important details, important for Spicejet and the aviation industry as a whole as well. We'll keep tracking the story, but for now, we'll slip into a short break. And when we come back, we'll get in Geetika Mehta, who's the managing director at Hershey's India on World Chocolate Day. So a lot of interesting trends that we'll discuss with her. Stay tuned for that interesting conversation.